In my journey into nutrition, I've learned many pearls of wisdom, one-liners. One of them that I can never forget is, we age because of age. Wait a minute, what? Isn't that obvious? But hold on. Look at the second age in all capitals. That is advanced glycation end products. Advanced and end products easy to understand. What is glycation? Let me tell you. But we are getting ahead of the story. Let us first look into what are carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, as the name suggests, are hydrocarbons, meaning that they have carbon, hydrogen, and some oxygen, along with other substances which come and get attached here and there. As we've already covered earlier, carbohydrates get converted into glucose upon digestion in the body. Medical and nutritional associations across the world would have you believe that carbohydrate is the preferred source of energy for the body, and 60% of your diet should consist of carbohydrates. Actually, that is not true. You can do without any carbohydrate at all, but a reasonable figure would be anything between 5% to 25% if you are metabolically healthier. Yes, carbohydrates are the preferred source of energy in the case of very rapid bursts of energy, which would be required in probably when you need to flee a dangerous situation. As I've mentioned earlier, carbohydrates are known as saccharides in technical terms, which in Greek language means sugar. So what are the different types of carbohydrates or different types of saccharides? Let us have a brief look at those. The simplest form of sugars are known as monosaccharides. The best examples are glucose and fructose. They are known as monosaccharides because they cannot be broken any further. When two monosaccharides like glucose and fructose come together, they become a disaccharide, or two monosaccharides joined together. Best example is I just gave you is table sugar consisting of glucose and fructose. Going a little higher up, there are oligosaccharides, which means many molecules of glucose put together in longer chains. These are found in starches, and the best examples would be onions, broccoli, whole wheat, legumes, things like that. Going one step further comes polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are too many chains or molecules of glucose put together. The ideal example would be glycogen, which is the form of storage in the body. While talking of all the saccharides, one should not forget sweeteners. They are of two varieties: nutritive sweeteners and non-nutritive sweeteners. Nutritive meaning they contain calories, and non-nutritive means they are free from calories, though this is not true. Nutritive sweeteners are sugar, honey, jaggery, things like that. And non-nutritive sweeteners are the modern, newer versions of all these sugar-free substances that you have, starting from saccharin in the old days to the later used aspartame, neotame, stevia, sucralose, these kind of things. Since they are about 300 times sweeter than sugar, they are required in very minuscule, tiny, microscopic amounts. In fact, the spoon of non-nutritive sweeteners or artificial sweeteners that are used contain mostly fillers, and the actual sweetener is in a very, very, very tiny amount. But they are nutritive in the sense they do contain calories almost as much as sugar itself. When you think of glucose in circulation, the term glycemic load comes into play. What is glycemic load? Glycemic load is the amount of glucose which is transferred into the bloodstream in a given amount of time. Glycemic load is interdependent or dependent on something known as the glycemic index. Glycemic index is a number given to all carbohydrates where glucose is considered as the benchmark 100 and everything lies below that. So this number indicates how much glucose, how fast can be transferred to your bloodstream, and therefore it is important to everyone, diabetic or non-diabetic. As a diabetic, I really don't care about the GI number because I am not concerned when the glucose is coming into me, into my bloodstream. I am more concerned of how much glucose is coming to me. So the glucose load is GI, the GI number, into the amount of the carbohydrate substance that you've consumed, divided by 100. So let's look at what happens when glucose enters the body. When glucose is delivered to a cell, it is broken down and prepared for release of energy from its constituents. This breakdown of glucose is known as glycolysis. During glycolysis, some of the glucose gets attached to proteins in the cell, which process is called glycosylation. This attachment of glucose with proteins is a very measured and determined sort of attachment, and it gives life properties to the cell. This is a very, very benign way glucose interacts with proteins. But there is a very dangerous form of glucose interaction with proteins and lipids which happens outside the cell in the bloodstream, which is known as glycation. This glycation creates something known as advanced glycation end products, or AGE as we call it. These advanced glycation end products can get attached to cells over a period of time and cause a lot of chronic metabolic disorders like diabetes, like renal problems, like cardiovascular problems and whatnot. So these are the avoidable ones. Now, advanced glycation end products not only happen when glucose combines with proteins in the bloodstream, but can also be delivered through diet and food. When food is processed at very high temperatures, it creates a lot of advanced glycation end products. Look at the figure of the young skin versus the old skin. As you can see, that the binding proteins which are keeping the younger skin tight, taut and intact have been broken down in the older skin. This is nothing but advanced glycation end products in play. Carbohydrates break down only into glucose. Now, what are the sources of carbohydrates or glucose in the diet? Since carbohydrates are contained in starches, fibers, so all your plants, vegetables, fruits, grains, all the fiber, starchy stuff in the food like legumes and all dals, everything contains carbohydrate. Now, if you are a vegetarian or if you like to consume carbohydrate for any reason of your choosing, the best thing would be is to restrict your carbohydrate intake to the more complexer chains, because obviously the complex chains take a lot of time breaking down and delivery of the carbohydrate or delivery of the glucose is elongated over a period of time. With the faster acting carbs, which are like the disaccharides or the monosaccharides, these transfer glucose into the blood very, very rapidly. So these are contained mostly in all the sugary stuff that you like and are addicted to. All the sweets, chocolates, ice cream, soft drinks, cakes, pastries, things like that contain very fast acting carbs and raise your glucose very fast. There is a reason why we get addicted to these things, and in a later video we'll cover that how they attack a certain part of the brain and get you addicted to this stuff. So this is how the breakdown of glucose has a detrimental effect in the body and creates substances which are toxic, like the AGEs that we discussed, and therefore carbohydrate restriction is, in my opinion, a preferred choice for everyone, diabetic or not. My problem because I am a diabetic, is blood glucose. So it's a no-brainer for me. I cannot consume foods that are ultimately going to break down and contribute more glucose into my system. However, if you need to have carbohydrates, you can definitely make better choices. In the next video, we'll have a look at proteins, and then the third one will cover the fats. I hope this informative video has been of some help to you, and thank you for watching.